I'm seeing is not real. It just ain't as real as it seems. Holy. Get a hold of yourself. O'Malley.
Go make some friends. You're gonna need them.
Back away. Who were you before you came in here?
I break out of prisons for a living.
You don't look that smart.
You don't either.
The people who paid for you to be here want you here forever.
This was a setup. Somebody wanted to bury me. I'm gonna find out who, and I'm gonna find out why.
Let's do it.
I need a diversion.
Okay. You hit like a vegetarian. That was good.
Welcome once again to Ultrasonic Film. As always, I'm your host, James, talking about movies, and more movies. I have a very special guest on the show right now, Mikael Hafstrom. Welcome to Ultrasonic Film.
Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you here. We're going to talk a little bit about your film, Stockholm Bloodbath. I have to ask you about a few extra films here that you've done in your past. I really enjoyed the film Evil, and you got an Academy Award nomination for Best Foreign Language Film. With that, I was curious, is any part of it autobiographical? Did you go to a boarding school? Were you a bit of a hellraiser when you were a kid? I'm kind of curious on that.
Well, maybe I was occasionally a hellraiser. This book was Evil, Ondskan in Swedish, was probably one of the most read books among young people in Sweden. Every generation reads this book, so it's a huge thing here in Sweden. Many people tried to make a film out of it, but it never sort of happened until we managed to do that. We were very successful with the film. I'm happy to say, and also get a nomination for Best Foreign Language Film. So a great story.
Now, you directed the film Derailed with Clive Owen and Jennifer Aniston. As I was watching the film, I just kept thinking Hitchcock. You really kind of got a vibe of the master himself in that film. As you were putting it together, was that a goal?
Thank you for saying that. I mean, Hitchcock was obviously a master in that kind of... I think Hitchcock was very, very good at putting ordinary men in, because it was often men in his film, in extraordinary situations. And I think just ordinary guys like you and me ending up in something truly special. That's what happens to Clive Owen, in this film. So it have a Hitchcockian theme, if you want, in that way. And obviously, a great femme fatale in Jennifer Aniston and so on. So it's, I hear you.
One of my favorites of yours as well is 1408 with John Cusack and Samuel Jackson. Right at the beginning of the film, there's a surfing accident, which might suggest that the rest of the film might be a nightmare that actually happens because of the way it was shot, the way it was filmed. I'd love to get your take on that.
Well, my memories of that, of the shoot of the surfing accident was there were no waves that day. So we had to digitally enhance the actual waves afterwards, because otherwise it would look like nothing. It's not like a giant wave, but the accident sets it off, obviously. And yes, we can be believed to think that it's all in his head, but then later in the film we come back to the accident, and then we feel again that, oh right, it was a dream, case closed. But as you see in the film, so it's not that simple.
Very true indeed. You were directing both Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger at the same time in Escape Plan. Is it difficult to corral those big personalities, those legends of film together in the same sequence? I'm kind of curious your directing approach on them.
I think they competed being the nicest guy on the set, So I think it was probably a better situation having both of them than just one of them. But they were, look, I'm not saying this to be polite to these guys only. They were really, really respectful, and they had so much fun. I mean, they've done it all, seen it all. But I think at this time, they enjoyed playing together, and they're really close friends after all this sort of rivalry through the years and so on. So they were like kids every day. They're coming to set like, what are we going to do today? Very, very enthusiastic, and that was very sweet. It was one of the least sort of neurotic shoots I've had. I think a lot thanks to these guys, because they made it fun. And for me, growing up with Stallone and Schwarzenegger, it was a memory for life, obviously, to be able to work with both of them in that way.
Absolutely. Now, of course, your new film is Stockholm Bloodbath. When I was watching the film, I didn't get a sense I was watching a whole bunch of CGI slamming together, which was such a relief. There appeared to be actual fighting, actual stunts. Can you talk a little bit about the staging of that? It must have been very elaborate because there are some very big action sequences in the film.
It is, and I'm happy you pointed out, and I'm gonna forward that to the stunt team, the Hungarian stunt team. I worked with them before. I mean, just great stunt coordinators that spent so much time choreographing this, and also the horse master, because it's a lot of horses, and the horses are integrated obviously in the battle scenes and all of this stuff. So we don't have a Hollywood budget on this. We didn't have millions in CGI budget, so we really have to be clever with the money that we had, and we had to do a lot of things practically, which I want to do anyway because I think it looks better if you can avoid CGI. It's great to use at some points, obviously, to paint out modern houses in the background and things like that. But what you see in front, what you see closer to the camera is often the real deal. Just very, very talented stuntmen and stunt women doing their thing, but it's time consuming and it's a lot of rehearsals obviously behind all of that.
I got to ask you, of course, in all the films that I've mentioned, most of the films I've mentioned, Evil, Derailed, 1408, Escape Plan, and now Stockholm Bloodbath, you use as a director explosive violence at times, which comes out of nowhere to really kind of jar the audience. And you balance that quite well. Is that something over your career that you feel you've really got a handle on in telling a powerful story?
Well, apparently. You said it. But look, the stories I have told, I like to tell, obviously have that. I don't like to make, violence for violence own sake. I think if there is a place for it in the story, and sometimes, an act of violence is a strong tool to use, when the story demands it and so on. But I take that as a compliment because I think if it hits right, and if it's some way shocking or upsetting in the right way for the audience, that's a good thing. Violence unfortunately exists around us in our world, as we know, and has and will, so it must exist.
Absolutely. You should take it as a compliment. It makes your films very, very compelling for sure. Well, Mikael Hafstrom, director of Stockholm Bloodbath, I want to thank you very, very much for joining me here on Ultrasonic Film. I really do appreciate it. Thanks very much.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.